So, the plan is we're gonna basically distract the bad guys and have them go to our house in real life. No, I do not want to do that. I thought we were gonna do that plan a week ago, but we haven't figured out it yet. We don't want our world to get destroyed while we're in space. I don't want the bad guys to do anything like that. Don't worry, I will make sure nothing happens to Earth while we're in space. I've got it on my GPS on my watch.
dark corner of the cyber world, I am the mysterious hacker profile. Codes are my weapons, exploring the unknown cyber realm. Not for destruction, not for evil deeds, just to seek the fire of truth indeed. People misunderstand my role, but actually I have principles in my soul. Cyber world, I am the mysterious hacker profile. Codes are my weapons, exploring the unknown cyber realm. Not for destruction, not for evil deeds, just to seek the fire of truth indeed. People misunderstand my role, but actually I have principles in my soul. Not for evil deeds, just to seek the fire of truth indeed. People misunderstand my role, but actually I have principles in my soul. In my soul. In my soul. In my soul.
Yeah, I thought the world was saved too. Why couldn't we just save it? Like, why would the villain come back and try to destroy it when we already defeated him?
Deactivated.
Hello Ethan Friedrich. Good job defeating the Code Boss. I'm so proud of your work. When I worked with Code Boss, I almost hated working with the clan. I told Code Boss I would have saved the world too, and Code Boss didn't even listen to me and wanted to destroy space and the world too. I'm so glad that you saved Earth from the danger of Code Boss. Code Boss abandoned me lots of years ago before you were even working on defending your planet Earth. I'm gonna tell you Code Boss will try to do this again in the future, so please keep your planet safe, and I just love your red spaceman outfit, by the way.
I'm done, Commander Ethan Friedrich. Done chasing you across galaxies, done wasting my years in a war that's swallowed every breath I've taken, done trying to rip apart the stars and grind the worlds into dust. What's the point, when everything I fought for, every plan, every alliance, every ounce of strength, was shattered by the very ones I trusted, the ones who swore they stood beside me, smiling in my face while the knives were already in their hands? When they twisted those knives, I realized it wasn't just my plans they destroyed, it was me, piece by piece. Until all that's left is someone who no longer has the will to fight, no longer has the will to watch space burn, no longer has the will to see the world end. Because what's the point in ruling ashes when the only thing left inside you is the bitter truth that you were never their leader, only their pawn. And yet, even after all that, I didn't expect you. No, not in 1,000 years. To walk into the heart of my fortress as if the walls themselves bent to your will, to look my greatest creation in the eye, my towering war robot, my iron monument to power, and tear it apart piece by piece until the ground shook with the sound of its dying gears. You struck so suddenly, so ruthlessly, that I didn't even see the smoke bomb in your hand until the air was thick and black and clawing at my lungs, choking the fight right out of me. And then, when I thought it couldn't get worse, when I thought I could still cling to the one hope I had left, you found it. You found the final sequence, the code I had hidden away in a place no mortal should have been able to reach, the code that would have unraveled the very fabric of space and torn Earth from its foundations. And you destroyed it. You ripped my victory from me with nothing but your will and your defiance. In that moment, I knew I was finished. Not because I lost the battle, but because you've taken away the only purpose I had left. Betrayal, Commander Ethan Friedrich. You think you've seen it, you think you felt it, but you don't know it like I do. I didn't just fight for them, I built for them. I crafted an empire from the bones of conquered worlds. I bled in the dirt of alien battlefields. I burned cities into shadows just to make their vision real. I carried their flag into the blackest corners of the galaxy and carved their name into the stars. And for what? So that when the dust settled, when the last stone fell and the war was theirs to claim, they could stab me in the back and smile while the knife twisted. Oh, and they didn't just betray me. No, they erased me. They took my command, wiped my name from every record so that even the history I had written in blood became theirs. I can still see their faces in that chamber, their cold, unblinking eyes watching me kneel as the air hissed out and the doors sealed behind me, the sound echoing like a coffin lid slamming shut. I can still feel the cold of the metal floor beneath my hands as I realized I was no longer their general, no longer their brother in arms, no longer anything. And the sickest part? I trusted them. I believed them. I told myself I was part of something bigger, something worth the blood on my hands. And it was all a lie. Every mission, every kill, every ounce of loyalty was just another brick in the wall they built to bury me alive. That's the thing about betrayal, Ethan. Once you've felt it, once you've had your heart carved out by the very hands you once held, you stop fearing your enemies. You start fearing the people who call themselves your friends. Because there are no friends. There are no allies. There are no loyalties in this universe. Only enemies you haven't learned to hate yet. And I'll tell you this. The poison of betrayal runs deeper than any wound, sharper than any blade, and it festers inside you until all you want is to watch the world burn in revenge. I carry that poison every day. It's in my blood, in my bones, in every shattered dream and broken. You want to know who I really am, Commander Ethan Friedrich? Not the destroyer you see now, but the ghost of a man forged in darkness and betrayal. Long before this war, before the robots, before the ashes, I was just a shadow walking the cold halls of a secret organization, one so hidden, even the stars forgot it existed. They took me when I was nothing, no family, no name, no hope, and remade me into their weapon. They trained me to obey without question, to kill without remorse. They told me loyalty was everything, the only thing that mattered. And for a time, I believed them. I believed that if I sacrificed enough, If I gave them everything, I'd earn a place at their table, a purpose beyond the cold shadows I'd known. I bled for them. I fought for them. I built empires in their name, worlds crushed beneath my boots, systems erased by my hand, and all for a cause I thought was just. But loyalty in that place was a lie, a weapon wielded by those who ruled in silence, who traded lives like pawns on the board. I was their perfect tool, the blade in the dark, but just a tool, nothing more. And when I reached for the throne, when I dared to want more than their scraps, they spat on my face, smiled as they pulled the knife from my back and twisted it deeper. I remember the chamber where they left me to die, colder than the void between worlds. The air thick with silence heavier than any blade. The door sealed shut with a hiss that sounded like the last breath of a dying star. I was chained, broken, stripped of command, erased from history. The world I built, the name I carved into the stars, all wiped clean as if I'd never existed. And in that silence, I learned the cruelest lesson. Trust is the deadliest weapon of all. Because the faces that smiled as they betrayed me, those faces were once my brothers in arms. Once my family. I trusted them. I believed in them. I bled for them. And when they turned on me, it wasn't just a betrayal, it was a murder of everything I was. That moment shattered me, but it also forged me anew. The fire they lit in my soul burns hotter than a supernova, colder than the darkest black hole. It is the fire of revenge, of retribution, of a darkness that will swallow entire worlds. Now, I am not the man they tried to break. I am the reckoning they will fear. Because I've learned the truth, Ethan. There are no friends in this universe. Only enemies you haven't learned to hate yet. And when I bring the galaxy to its knees, when the stars themselves tremble at the weight of my fury, it won't just be for power or vengeance. It will be a message, a warning to every traitor who thinks they can bury me in the shadows and walk away unscathed. Remember this moment. Remember the face of the one they betrayed. The one who refused to die. The one who's coming back, stronger, colder, and hungrier than ever before. Because betrayal isn't just a wound. It's a curse. And it's mine to carry until the end of everything.
Main cast Commander Ethan Friedrich, the determined hero and leader, skilled in strategy, combat, and unyielding hope. Suggested actor, Taron Egerton, energetic, charismatic, able to portray depth and leadership. The betrayed villain, named TBD, ruthless, venomous, scarred by betrayal and driven by revenge against both his former allies and Ethan. Suggested actor, Mads Mikkelsen, intense, commanding presence with a dark edge. Ethan, the leader of the clones, a mysterious and deadly clone of Ethan, programmed for chaos and destruction. Suggested actor, Daniel Radcliffe, versatile and able to play complex, conflicted roles. Cryptor, a cold, calculating cybernetic assassin loyal to the villain, with advanced weaponry and stealth skills. Suggested actor, Gemma Chan, sleek, intimidating, with strong action chops. Titan XR, the giant, heavily armored enforcer robot controlled by the villain, imposing and nearly unstoppable. Suggested actor, voice, Vin Diesel, deep, booming voice perfect for a robotic powerhouse. Commander Lyra Kane, Ethan's trusted second in command. Fierce and tactical with a sharp mind and quick reflexes. Suggested actor, Jessica Henwick, strong presence, excellent action star. Dr. Soren Vex, the villain's former scientist, conflicted and morally gray, creator of the destruction code Ethan deactivates. Suggested actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, brilliant, intense, capable of layered villainy. Supporting cast the Cyberworld's Council members, a group of diverse alien diplomats and warriors debating the fate of space, adding political tension. Ethan's tech specialist, the genius hacker who helps Ethan disable the villain's code and uncovers betrayal clues. Suggested actor, Justice Smith rebel fighters, members of the underground resistance fighting against the villain's oppressive reign.
Hello Ethan Friedrich. Good job defeating the Code Boss. I'm so proud of your work. When I worked with Code Boss I almost hated working with the plan. I told Code Boss I would have saved the world too, and Code Boss didn't even listen to me and wanted to destroy space and the world too. I'm so glad that you saved Earth from the danger of Code Boss. Code Boss abandoned me lots of years ago before you were even working on defending your planet Earth. I'm gonna tell you Code Boss will try to do this again in the future, so please keep your planet safe, and I just love your red spaceman outfit by the way.
So, this is it. The end of the line. The curtain falling on the rise of the cyberworld's apocalypse. To everyone watching, yes, you, the ones who have journeyed through the chaos, the battles, the destruction, I want you to hear something from me. Not the monster you saw on screen, not the villain who sought to tear apart worlds and crush hope underfoot. No, I want you to hear the man behind the mask. The man who fought not because he wanted to rule, but because he had no other choice. You think this story was just about heroes and villains, about light battling darkness. But life, real life, is never so simple. It's messy, tangled, brutal. I wasn't born a villain. I was made one, shaped by betrayal, by loss, by a universe that never gave me a chance to be anything else. You watched me fall, and rise, and rage against the tides, and yes, you saw the destruction I caused. But did you see why? Did you see the fire that burned inside me? Not just a desire for power, but a desperate hunger to be seen, to be heard, to matter? I stood where no one else would. I fought battles no one knew about. For years, I was the shadow lurking behind every victory you cheered for, the storm brewing behind every moment of peace. I carried the weight of worlds on my shoulders, but I was alone, always alone. You may hate me for what I've done. You may fear what I represent. But know this, I never sought your hatred. I never wished to be feared. I wished only to survive, to carve out a place in a universe that tried to erase me. And in that pursuit, I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. I hurt those who didn't deserve it. I destroyed things that could never be rebuilt. And for that, I carry the scars deeper than any wound. But here's the truth. Every villain you know has a story of pain, of betrayal, of broken promises. And every hero? They have darkness within them, shadows they fight to keep at bay. So, as this chapter closes, I want to say thank you. Thank you for watching, for witnessing the rise and fall of a man pushed to the edge. Thank you for understanding, even if just a little, the storm that raged within me. But remember this, the war is never truly over. For every darkness you see extinguished, another flickers to life somewhere else. The galaxy is vast, and shadows always find a way to return. I may be gone from this story, but I am not gone from this universe. The name you fear, the face you hate, will live on in whispers, in legends, in nightmares. And when the stars fall silent, and the worlds tremble again, you'll remember me, not just as the villain, but as the storm. Goodbye, for now.